We're going to have a one-on-one conversation, a quick fireside chat with the President and CEO of Mitsubishi Power for Europe and the Middle East and Africa. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Javier Cavada. Nice to see you, Javier. How are you?
Good morning, Rebecca.
All is good?
Lovely seeing you.
Please take a
Thank you.
seat. Wow. What a discussion. I'm sure you'll agree.
It was so exciting, and I was in the back when I heard the question from Sweden. I said, I really would love to answer, but it was not that question. It was, I know.
This is what we want. We want more interaction. Thank you to our esteemed delegate for her comments this morning. I want to hear from all of you, represent every nation that we have in the room. A packed house. You certainly draw a crowd, Javier, so no pressure there to perform at your best. We are discussing hydrogen, future-proofing global power systems, a huge topic, but just outline for me the key challenges as you see them.
Absolutely. I mean, and I will escape from the tendency or the temptation of answering the question about the technology, because I mean, one of the key things that I want to highlight is that we have already the technologies ready, tested, proven, demonstrated. And of course, like every technology deployment, you need to build a scale so that the supply chain can go in that direction that makes the projects financeable, bankable, and you can have a full deployment. And I'm way more optimistic than some of the members in the previous panel. And definitively, the challenges about hydrogen. Hydrogen is a super well-known molecule. We all in the industry, but we as Mitsubishi Power, the EMEA group has been working with hydrogen at least 60 years. Working in the hard-to-abate sectors like chemical industries, steel industries, refineries. And well, I have to say that what is changing now is the consciousness about the need of decarbonizing the whole power generation sector, and especially the volume, the scale. And the scale comes with another challenge, which is the speed, how fast you need to achieve this scale. So looking at I think it's called the Global Hydrogen Council, is talking about something close to 80 gigatons of CO2 that can be taken out in the coming 20 years by clean hydrogen, by green hydrogen. Not that hydrogen is the holy grail of the whole grid, of the whole energy transition, it's that hydrogen is enabling wind and solar to become the base load. That's very important, that wind and solar in places like where I come from in the UK or in Spain, wind and solar are already over 20%, over 30%, close to 40%. But sorry, game over. It's not possibility to inject more wind and solar without collapsing the grid. You need to stabilize, you need to back up, you need to cover the intermittencies, you need to stop wasting all the wind and solar that you are wasting. I mean, when living in London on weekends, it's so windy. I say every wind power that we're generating is being wasted because there is not enough storage, not enough hydrogen production. And again, the hydrogen is a means of getting wind and solar affordable and reaching everybody else.
That's right. The warm winds of Dubai surround us today for our discussion, I'm happy to say. When it comes to renewables, talk to me about the supply-demand balance.
Definitively. I mean, it's you know, we are enjoying here. I don't know how much. I'm not an expert in how many degrees, maybe 12 degrees, 15 degrees in the room. Maybe we have 30 degrees outside. Yesterday I was sweating like crazy in the green zone and the blue zone. I was sweating twice walking in the... So we have a huge amount of power required to keep the way we're doing things. So, and we have only two options. One is to change the way we do things and stop developing our society and stop giving good quality life to our society, or we need to get the cheapest way of producing electricity, which is wind and solar, to get it delivered to every single individual, affordable, clean, dispatchable any minute. So here in the Emirates, we are in the center of a region that has been the energy hub, at least since I was a little kid. This region has been the energy hub of the planet, based on fossil fuels. And already for several years, we can see that this region is already very aware that we need to decarbonize. We must diversify the economy in this region. And this region is leapfrogging, is jumping to lead, to invest, to put all the resources from that energy hub capability to move them to decarbonization. So to enable that this region continues being an energy hub, but a clean energy hub for the coming decades. And that's the challenge in which we are. But key is that we are not talking about like in the 50s, the 60s of last century, we can do things slowly. This is pretty urgent. This is pretty urgent.
When we talk about decarbonisation, not least when it comes to existing infrastructures, talk to me about what you mentioned, it being a just and equitable, a fair transition for all. How do we get there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we in the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries group in EMEA, we have a very clear strategy that is really to contribute to society, not only for net zero, but for a fair transition, for a justice in the transition to clean energy, and we build 3 pillars. The first pillar is the key one today, decarbonizing the existing infrastructure. So we cannot believe that we're going to just build tons and megatons and gigatons of projects immediately and start going from gray to blue to green. No, we need to decarbonize what is being utilized today. And that's the technology that we are deploying by blending hydrogen in existing power generation systems, by using ammonia as an energy carrier or as a clean energy carrier. So we are looking at ways that all the wind and solar that has been deployed, and I have to say, we need to be proud as humankind of the huge jump of wind and solar that has happened the last 8 years. I would not say 10, I would say just 8 years. Before it was not so much. But the reality is that from now until 2030, we need to triple. We need to triple the wind and solar deployments that have happened in the last decade. So is that possible? Well, I tell you, technology-wise, yes. Financially-wise, absolutely. What is the roadblock? What's the obstacle? Well, frankly, the more wind and solar we bring into the grid, the more stress, intermittency, and unreliability we are bringing to the grid. So that's why we need to bring the technologies that, again, are delivered, are already tested, are already proven, that companies like EMEA, we already have through ourselves or through our partners in the supply chain, and enable that wind, solar electrons are deployed not to 20, to 30, to 40%, but to 100% clean energy. And that's the role of hydrogen, to be that enabler of wind and solar to be 24/7 around the clock.
I suppose it comes down to geographies as well, though, because some areas, not least, lest we forget the global south, they don't have unlimited budgets, and they do have great resources, but not unlimited either. So how does that play into the hydrogen conversation?
It's a wonderful point, Rebecca. I mean, so the energy transition is, we look at the planet Earth here in my feet. I feel totally overwhelmed by the planet. I think it's Latin America, that one. The energy transition is not an unique, uniform movement. We talk about Sweden, we can talk about the Emirates, we can talk about Spain, we can talk about Oman, we can talk about Burkina Faso, we can talk about Chile, we can talk about Australia, Papua New Guinea. So many different countries with so many different mixes, so many different levels of electrification or access to electricity of people. So let's not forget that we have a continent that is the biggest continent of the planet, that there is still a big amount of population who is not accessing electricity full time. So we need more renewables, massively, and we need a means to store the excess of renewables. It's all, I mean, we talk a lot in Mitsubishi about decarbonization efficiency. So being efficient with the decarbonization process. So you cannot approach the energy transition in the Nordics or in the Middle East the same as you do in the States or you do in Latin America. So different economies, different people. But the key is that the technologies that we have been working for and with and towards, they're already been building the blocks, the capabilities, the necessities, so that we can resolve the different needs of every individual globally. And of course, you are smiling because you're going to tell me, what are we missing? What are we missing? Courage, ambition, speed, and well, we can talk about it in this COP28. This is this is a COP28. I really love to hear this sentence about show me, don't tell me.
Show me, don't tell me, yes. First rule of journalism at Bloomberg 101. That's what they taught me, and it still rings true in every case.
Absolutely, absolutely. And well, of course, the motto of the COP28 here is unite, act, and deliver. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I think in Mitsubishi we are probably 98% mechanical engineers, people, or electrical, and some chemical. We need to deliver. We need to deliver stuff. I fully support that one.
There's some engineers in the house.
We love engineering. Engineers, we have to engineer the way forward. But again, for 2030, we need to triple the wind and solar capacity. I tell you, piece of cake. It's possible. The problem, what do you do with that excess of electricity, clean electricity? It's going to be wasted massively. We have curtailment levels in the United Kingdom, and let me show United Kingdom like a pretty transparent country in terms of the numbers they show. More than 1/3 of the wind power they produce is wasted. And if you don't store it, if you don't use that wasted electricity into value.
We're rapidly running out of time. I wish I had more time on stage with you, Javier. Another fantastic guest to be at our summit today. Looking at COP, you referenced it there. We want it to be a COP for action. That was the pledge by Dr. Sultan. You believe that the decisions that we make in the next 2 years, let's say, will determine the outcomes and decisions we make in the next 10 to 20. Flesh that out for me.
Absolutely. I like to say engineers, lawyers, financiers, investors, people of the world, we have a responsibility to our kids, to the kids of our kids, and the kids of the kids of our kids. The decisions we make from now to 2025, don't think this is a slogan from a politician. Again, no politicians in this chair today are going to dictate what will happen in the following 20 years. So if we don't act and deliver, and we don't get together, we are going to have a very different future in very short term. So we have all the technology means, we have the companies, but technology players like EMEA, with all our suite of partners, we cannot do, no company can do this alone. But the thing is that have the courage, demand, make sure that we progress as a humankind so that the planet that we live in few years, in 20 years, in 30 years from now, is way better than the planet we took or we received 20, 30 years ago. So make sure that this COP is the first COP in which there is not so much, sorry to say, blah, 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 and talks about what can happen and numbers about what's coming. This has to be the COP, and it starts to be the COP of projects. This afternoon, my colleague Bill from Americas is going to show an amazing project about clean energy and hydrogen. Projects that are already being delivered, stainless steel, cement, green electricity, decarbonization. So we need to save the situation. I'm pretty optimistic. We have shown in my many years of life that we as a society, when needed, we get together and deliver. And well, in Mitsubishi Group MHI has been seeing crisis, transitions happening in more than 1 century and a half of history. But this is the biggest challenge of our generation. So show off and make it happen.
Make it happen. That's your headline, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to my fantastic guests.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Muchas gracias.